coping with stress. Assalamu alaikum, Nadia, and shukran for joining me.
Salam. It's only a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah. All right. So, first of all, you're going to be part of the Ramadan 1442 International Summit. So, without giving away too much, please tell us what you're going to be tackling.
So I'm going to be discussing stress and what exactly it is. A full explanation, and it's actually quite interesting. When you see what I have to say in my talk and presentation, it also has to do with the choices that we have
Mm-hmm.
in our lives and how we're going to take things forward. I'll also be addressing forgiveness, acceptance, surrendering, and I'm going to be giving the audience a resilience questionnaire, which is great for them. And part of what I will be doing in my presentation is also just to, give them some introspective questions which they can use going forward in their lives with regard to stress. And I'm planning to do a small guided meditation just to teach those who don't know how to connect with yourself to become more present. And I'm hoping that the audience is going to gain the most out of it, and it will be a tool that they could use going forward with stresses. When I do work one-on-one with clients, then obviously it has to do with they do experience a shift, within themselves, and it releases whatever emotions that they're going through, and it makes a huge difference. So that's the plan of my presentation going forward with stress and breaking it down and understanding everybody has their own mental chatter and their own mental model, and how these two play such a huge role in our lives, and going a little bit further into it, and then obviously bringing in appreciation and gratitude, so that that's part of everything that we have to do with regard to our lives generally. And when you're appreciative and when you're grateful for everything that happens in your life, things can only get better. And you start seeing the blessing in every situation that goes or happens in your life.
Mm-hmm. Stress is something that we all experience and we all have to go through at some point in our lives. So, how do we recognize stress?
So there's a current, like quite a few symptoms that, you either feel lethargic, tired, mental fog,
Mm-hmm.
not interested in doing stuff that you used to be passionate about, unable to concentrate for long. Sometimes you become irritable and moody. So there's so many different ways that can tell you are stressed out. Some people feel physical symptoms like, you get chronic headaches, or you get muscle tension in your neck and shoulders, or just a feeling of unwell. And everybody reacts differently. I know some people, when they do experience stress, they have a tendency to just not be able to think clearly, and they react from a space of your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight, and that's the worst time to react, because we make the worst decisions, because you need a calm mind and you need to be totally in a good space and present within yourself before you decide what is the way forward. And most of the time, we are human, and we tend to react completely different, or just impulsively or irrationally without thinking. And that's where the problem comes.
Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I was chatting to Johara about her topic, which is anger and how to use it to get closer to Allah. What about stress? Can you also use stress to get closer to Allah? If so, how?
Absolutely. Remember, nothing in this world can happen to you unless Almighty Allah wills it upon you. And obviously, look at it as this is my test. And Allah also says in the Quran, I will test you with so many different things, whether it's your health or your wealth or your family. So when stresses come, they can come in big forms or small forms, but ultimately it knocks you out of your general flow of life,
Mm-hmm.
and to find the tools. So yes, you take the good from the bad situation, and you find the blessing in it, and you have to completely surrender to it, because it's by the will of Almighty Allah that this has happened to you. And I will be giving prayers that you can read for stress, and just becoming present, because when you become present within yourself and you breathe, and when you breathe, you're actually connecting with Almighty Allah. You actually the answers that you're supposed to find, and it's in that silence, in that present moment, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you those answers that you are looking for. So it's a beautiful way to just connect, instead of, be all over the place and go crazy and do things you shouldn't be doing, and then later with hindsight you totally regret it.
Definitely. Now, is there a difference between stress and burnout?
I would think that burnout is when you now come to the point of, I can't do this anymore, and you actually become ill. And burnout's got to do with a lot of built up, suppressed emotion, and it comes to that point where the person can physically just drop, and is it. You become sick, you become a diabetic, you become this, you become that. There's so many different aspects and ways of looking at burnout. I think stress could be a slightly minimal component compared to extreme burnout, but both have stresses. I mean, and obviously everybody deals with stress differently. Some people work super well under stress, and they are the productive, and they can soar at different levels and heights. And then you get people who totally buckle and they can't cope, and unfortunately they falter.
Speaking about coping, what are some unhealthy ways and habits that we often tend to go to when dealing with stress?
Everybody deals with stress differently. So people develop vices. Some people would turn to drinking alcohol. Some people smoke. Some people do drugs. Whatever it takes to stop thinking about the stress or to stop feeling the stress. Everybody has their own mechanisms on how they're going to cope. So it totally depends on the individual. And your model of the world, your belief systems, how close you are to Allah, and your iman. I mean, some people will not dare do something because they've been taught and conditioned from a young age, this is wrong, this is correct. And some won't think twice. You know what, this is what helps me. It helps take my problem away. It makes me forget for a few hours or a few whatever days. And that's what they tend to do. So I it's broad. Everybody has their own coping mechanism when it comes to stress, and it just depends on the individual and how strong you are. And if you have a strong mindset, then you can overcome anything. And if you look at life positively and optimistic, there's so much you can overcome, because you just realize the main thing here is surrender. And the moment you surrender, it becomes easier. The more you resist, the more difficult it becomes. And it's exhausting, and it leads to more stress and sometimes mental breakdowns. So everybody's different, and it just depends on the individual. And what I would say is, if you are a person who generally has a negative mindset, and you need that additional help, reach out to your friends. Don't go through it alone. Reach out to somebody who can stand by you, who can motivate you, who can uplift you, and who can empower you, and who can be there for you, so that the moment you feel you're going to hit rock bottom, you know what, you can phone that person or meet up with that person, and they can assist you whichever way they can. It's always good to have a support structure. And you find that people who don't have good support structures, they're the ones who falter miserably. But then again, it also has to do with your conditioning, because everybody's different.
And it also should come down to you wanting to receive the help, because many a times
Absolutely.
we brush it off as, no, don't worry about it. I'm going to sort it out. It's nothing serious,
Absolutely.
until it becomes a real problem and we already in too deep.
100%. And I think women especially, we have a tendency to take the whole world's problems and burden it on ourselves. And we take it to that last extreme point, to that point of, okay, now I can't do this anymore. And that's when sickness hits us. But generally, women are very resilient and very strong and amazing creatures.
Alhamdulillah. So why should people book for the summit? Besides you, there will be other great speakers, local and international. So give us a lowdown on that.
Well, it's going to be totally awesome. You're going to get free empowerment and advice and techniques and word in all the different topics that we are going to be discussing. So, from an Islamic perspective as well as from a life coaching perspective, and these are things every one of us go through. It's part of everyday life, and everybody goes through it. But you have ways to learn how to control it and utilize it in a good way. Same with the stress. I mean, it's part of everyday life. We cannot get rid of it. It's there. But if you know how to deal with it, you're going to deal so much better with upcoming stresses which could arise. And then, of course, concentration in Salah, what Ridwan Muhammad will be discussing, is brilliant. I mean, most of us, sometimes when we're stressed out, you can't concentrate on your Salah. The problem keeps coming up in your mind. And sometimes it takes very long to complete that Salah. So all these things actually go hand in hand, and it will be a nice way for you to learn and get the most out of this. And I mean, it's free. So why not take up this opportunity and use it to the best of your ability? Remember, I always believe whatever Almighty Allah wants you to learn or whatever message He wants you to get, you will get it. So if you meant to be on this summit, you're going to reap whatever, rewards and benefits for yourself. And that's a blessing from Almighty Allah to you. And whatever you're supposed to gain maximally and learn as a person, because each of us has our own trials, our own tribulations, our own model of the world, and we're going through our own things. You're going to take something from there which you will use and you will remember. Even if you just take one thing from the whole summit, it will be totally worth it.
Definitely. And how can people register for the event?
We will post the link, I think they've already passed it on to you. Otherwise, I could pass it on to you, and you just have to click onto it and sign up and be there. And we look forward to seeing you.
All right, Alhamdulillah. Nadia, shukran so much for your time and for sharing that information with us. For our listeners and viewers, please go and check out the summit that is taking place on the 6th and 7th of April, inshallah. Lots of powerful speakers such as Nadia Latib, and yesterday you got to listen to Johara Hassam, and there will be a lot more other powerful speakers and the topics that will be discussed. So make sure that you book for the event, and it is free. Who doesn't like free stuff? Like, hello. All right. So, shukran so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Jazakallah. Wa alaikum salam.
That was Nadia Latib Amod, an international life coach and NLP practitioner, as well as an Afia healer and physiotherapist, taking us through her topic of coping with stress. She just gave us a little bit on it. If you want to know more, then make sure that you book for the summit. That is the Ramadan 1442 International Summit, which is taking place on the 6th and 7th of April. I've seen the link posted on Johara's social media platform, so you can check out her social media platforms if you would like the link there. Or send us a message on WhatsApp and we will share it with you. And all you have to do is click on it and it will take you to